Welcome to the Jackie Collins Podcast, where pop culture and Hollywood fiction collide. We talk about everything from writing books to telling stories to just what happened in Hollywood last night. If you've ever wanted to know the truth about what goes on after dark here, there's only one place to turn. And now, here she is, best-selling author of more than 30 New York Times bestsellers, the queen of steam, the one and only Jackie Collins.
Welcome to another episode of the Jackie Collins Podcast. Today, I want to talk about my new book, The Santangelos, which of course stars the fabulous Lucky Santangelo, which people are always asking me about. They want to know how she came about, they want to know about Gino, they want to know about the rest of the family. So I'm just going to read you a little bit from the flyleaf of the book, just to give you a little taster of what The Santangelos is about. Well, a vengeful enemy, a drug-addled Colombian club owner, a sex-crazed Italian family, the ever-powerful Lucky Santangelo has to deal with them all. Meanwhile, her teenage daughter Max is becoming the it girl in Europe's modeling world, and her Kennedy-esque son, Bobby, is being set up for a murder he didn't commit. Always strong and always fierce, with her husband Lenny by her side, she lives up to the family motto: never fuck with a Santangelo. Okay, so there's a little bit about the book, and I know you want to know how the characters came about. Well, the first book about the Santangelo family was called Chances, and I wrote that in the 80s, and it was called The Godfather Goes to Bed by many reviewers. I think that writing about Lucky was something I always wanted to do. I wanted to create a fiercely fabulous, wildly beautiful, very smart, strong heroine. Because I grew up reading books by Harold Robbins and Mickey Spillane, and, you know, the women were always ready for an orgasm just if the guy just glanced at them. And I thought, is this how it goes on? But then they were either in the bedroom or they were in the kitchen cooking, so sex or cooking. And I thought, no, wait a minute. I'm going to create a heroine that can do everything, that is going to be as strong as a man, that can do anything she wants to do. But then, of course, Chances was about Gino, her fabulous father, Gino Santangelo, who comes to America at the beginning of the last century as a teenage kid and becomes one of the biggest gangsters around, and then goes to Las Vegas at the beginning and becomes very famous, building hotels. He's friends with Bugsy Malone and, Bugsy Siegel, and Lucky Luciano, and that's why he called her Lucky. So Gino is a true chauvinist. He has a son, Dario, who turns out to be gay, and then he has Lucky. And Lucky, as she grows up, says to him, I want to be strong. I want to do everything. I want to follow you in the family business. And he goes, you're a girl. You're a girl. What are you talking about? You're going to get married. You're going to have kids. That's what girls do. And she goes, not this girl, Daddy. I want to take over. And then he turns to Dario, who is very artistic and just wants to paint and sculpt and do things like that. And he's kind of like, Gino is not the kind of man who would accept a gay son. So Lucky has to protect Dario from Daddy and his crazy moods. And she fights to get what she wants, and she gets what she wants in the end. Gino is finally sent away on a tax exile out of the country, and Lucky moves in and takes over his Las Vegas business and takes over building the hotels and becomes the powerful woman she is today. Recently, I wrote a book about her called Confessions of a Wild Child. Yeah, and that was Lucky of 15. I wanted to show how she became the woman she is today. Well, I was inspired to write the books about the Santangelo family by a character that I met when I came to Hollywood when I was a teenager. I had these friends, these girlfriends, and we all lived in these crazy apartments, and we were all doing crazy things. And I had this one girlfriend, Jane, and she said to me, I got this boyfriend, and we just broke up. And nobody knew who her boyfriend was because she'd kept him very secret. And she said, you got a car. I just bought a Buick from two brothers that I was dating, so I got a great deal on it. And she said, you got a car. We can drive up to this house in Bel Air, and I know where the window is. We can get through the window. My television is there. We can, capture the television, and all's good. So I thought, sounds like an adventure. And I was always up for an adventure. So off we go in my fabulous Buick. And we get up to Bel Air, and I'm thinking, it's going to be a little house somewhere. It's this huge, bloody mansion. And I go, wow, this is not what I expected. So we drive up this long driveway, and she drives around, tells me to drive around the back of the house. We get to the back of the house, and we open the window, and alarms go off, and dogs come running, and before you know it, there's people everywhere. And I glare at her, and she glares back at me. We don't get the television, but we do get her boyfriend, who happens to be called Slim and is the son of a mafioso from New York. Slim is very handsome. Slim has come out to Hollywood to be a movie star. Slim never made it as a movie star, but he's a nice guy. However, he takes me under his wing and he becomes my godfather. And it was purely platonic. And I just worshipped him. He was fantastic. And I based Gino on him. That's how Gino Santangelo came about. That's how I knew so much about the mob, because he would fly me to New York. And here I was, this 18-year-old kid. And we would sit around with his friends, and I'd say to one of his friends, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm in the garbage business." And you'd "Oh, garbage disposal?" And I'd go, "Yeah, how did you know?" And so I kind of found out lots about this gangster kind of life. And I wrote about it. I wrote about Gino and how he became the man he was. And while I was writing about Gino, I knew that I was going to create this character, Lucky. I knew that she was going to be something special. I did not realize how much my readers would love this character. All the time they write to me. They come to me on Twitter. I'm Jackie J. Collins on Twitter, incidentally. They come to my website. They go to Instagram. Lucky, Lucky, Lucky. We want more Lucky. So I'm giving you more Lucky in the Santangelos. And there's Max, who is her gorgeous teenage daughter, and there's Bobby, who is her very Kennedy-esque son. And this is an epic book. Somebody dies, and I cannot tell you who. You're going to have to read the book to find out. In the Santangelos, you will meet many new characters, because although I like bringing characters back all the time, and especially Lucky, I love creating new characters. And one of my most interesting characters in the Santangelos is Willow Price. She is an ex-child star actress who falls upon bad times, many bad choices with men and DUIs and all of that. And she's such an interesting character to write. She's a little bit of many actresses that I have met in Hollywood. There's a touch of desperation about her. She has a stage mother who is always on her case. And it's interesting to insert these new characters into the world of the Santangelos. I love Lucky, I love the whole family, and I hope you have fun reading the book. So I'll see you next time.